cry emoji right now. Hey, yell out some of your favorite acts so far this week. Okay, I heard nothing but a lot of different names, so that's awesome that you guys have someone. Okay, hasn't it been an awesome 25th anniversary Writers Week? It's been pretty amazing. I want you to look at your English teacher right now, or someone that's next to you and just say thanks. Thanks, you're welcome. Okay? Make sure you guys, even if you don't know them, when you see Mrs. Inc., when you see Mr. Anderson, when you see your booster parent or a booster parent, thank them, because if they did not put their many hours of work into this, it would not happen, okay? So Mrs. Inc., Mr. Anderson, thank you so much for all that you do all year long. This is a year-long planning event. So let's just get these guys going, because we got an amazing hour of students. We've got Shreya is up first.
Hey, so first I'm going to shout out my English class for Mrs. Inc. And also a couple of my friends who are skipping class to be here, so thanks guys. So my piece is broken, and it's a fictitious piece, so it's not like targeted at anyone, but it's called Broken, and here it goes. I wait impatiently in the doorway. Dad, let's go. I'm going to be late to work again. The office doesn't even open till 9. You have plenty of time. He tries to calm me down. He thinks I work in the engineering field, but I actually go to a cancer research lab every day. My dad's an engineer, and even though he doesn't like his career very much, he wants me to go down the same path since it's relatively cheaper. We go to the city together every morning. Apparently I need a bodyguard. Who knew? I still need to go early and make a good impression, Dad. The lies slip out more naturally now than before. Maybe because I've had so much practice. That thought leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. I don't want my parents to be disappointed in me, but shouldn't I be able to live my life in a way that makes me happy? My dad, finally done eating breakfast, nods towards the door, wordlessly telling me to start heading to the car while he gets the rest of his things. Shrugging my shoulders, I pop my earbuds in and leisurely walk to the car. A couple seconds after I get there, my dad jumps in and revs the car up. It's time to go. As we near the stop I get off at, my nerves coil up tightly and take up residence at the pit of my stomach. I'm not anxious that he's going to find out I don't work where he thinks I do. No. I'm scared I'm going to pull it off successfully, again. You see, the more I disregard my parents' expectations, the more I'm breaking their rules, the more I'm breaking their trust in me, the more I'm breaking. Because each time it feels more normal, more natural. The next stop is Clark and Lake. The automated announcement reminds us over the train's intercom. Should I tell him right now? I open and close my mouth like a fish, filtering its water. But instead, I'm just filtering through what I could possibly tell my father without everything I worked so hard for exploding in my face. And just like every other morning, I decide against it. After filling my lungs with some much-needed oxygen, I decide against it. I tap on my dad's shoulder to wake him up and to wave goodbye. He gets off at the station after mine, so he doesn't come with me. We had a lot of fights about that, but he agreed, and I don't have to go with him. I stood up, and right before getting off the train, I looked over my shoulder to see my father waving back. Each time he does that, my heart drops with my guilt. But as the choice of telling someone is being taken away, my guilt recedes into the corners of my mind. If I don't have to confess a sin, then there's no sin, right? The freeness that came with the weight being temporarily lifted made me feel like I could fly. So fly I did. I flew to my mentors at the research lab, and then I flew to my cell samples at my lab bench, and then I flew to my colleagues, the ones who know the true me. And I continued to fly until I couldn't, until the weight crushed my wings, spraining them, fracturing them, breaking them, hurting, until I'm no longer free but caged in with only the thoughts of what ifs and maybes to keep me company, to torture me. What if I tell them? Maybe they'll understand? What if? Maybe. What if? Maybe. No. No more. No more thoughts of unreachable impossibilities. No more hoping for something different. No more dreams of what could be. My wings want to take flight. They need to feel the freedom and peace of the air. My wings want to spread out and feel all of the expectations dissipate. They need to know that no matter what, someone will be by their side. My wings want to break free of the cage filled with doubts. They need to be surrounded with possibilities and hope. But my wings can't. Breaking free from the cage means breaking the hopes and dreams my parents set for me. It means breaking their trust in me. It means breaking them, and I can't break them. So I'll continue to break my wings until I'm broken too. Thank you. The next person who's going to be speaking is Angeline.
Hi guys. So quick shout out to my 8th period English class with Kohler. And quick shout out to my parents and my grandparents and my friends who came out to see me. So yeah. This is a letter that I wrote to someone that's very important to me. So, to my grandma, my yaya, my hero. As a kid, I remember spending every Tuesday and Thursday at your house. While we baked together, the drone of Greek soap operas filled the house. Each time, you would take out your navy leather book with recipes dating back to your time in Greece, always able to flip it open to the correct page. But you never really read the book. You just knew what to add. Regardless of every treat you and I baked, the bond we shared got stronger. Sitting at the kitchen table with the aroma of chocolate chip cookies from the oven and our stomachs growling, you would fill the time with your stories. Little did I know that one day you'd forget them. It was the summer going into my sophomore year when you came into my bathroom as I got ready, asking who I was. In the moment, I didn't know where you had gone. I only saw a stranger. The previous spring, you had 2 strokes in a 3-month span and was diagnosed with dementia. White walls, white beds, and blue shrubs became my new normal. Later that fall, you and Papu moved in with us. It was great at first, endless amounts of home-cooked meals, and there was always someone to talk to. Just like when I was a kid, you and I spent hours baking. On good days, I'd forget you were sick, but then came the bad days. I remember coming home to find you lost in the house, calming you down, and reminding who you were. There were days when I just wanted you back, but I knew it wasn't possible. It only got worse from there. I concentrated less at school, which took a toll on my grades. Dance, the thing that was supposed to be my outlet, it became a hassle. Your deteriorating health was hard on Mom, causing me to step up and help the family. Juggling school, dance, and things at home was challenging, and at times I wanted to give up, but I knew I couldn't. Just like you had while taking care of me as a child, I need to sacrifice for the people I loved. While you couldn't remember much, when we baked in the kitchen, it was like my childhood Tuesday and Thursdays. Except now, it was my turn to teach you the recipes. From spanakopita to domadas, more important than baking, I retaught you countless daily tasks, like showing you how to put on clothes, make your bed, and brush your teeth. At first, it was I to take care of you. Eventually, however, coming home after dance to make you and Papu dinner became normal. But if I've learned anything, no new normal lasts forever. Saturday, October 27th, 2018. I lost my hero. The whole day, it felt like you were waiting. With everyone there, a rare occurrence in the Limberopoulos household, seeing you take your last breath broke our hearts in millions of pieces, mine especially. But after 3 years of suffering, you were finally resting peacefully, free of pain. I was fortunate because death was something I never personally experienced until then. I had no idea what to expect. But all that came from it was the love and support of my friends and my team. For example, the night you passed, my 2 best friends, Grace and Mike, showed up with my favorite foods and shoulders to cry on. Even the little things like getting texts from people I hadn't heard from in a while brought light to such a dark time. Still today, I am honored to be named after you and will do everything possible to live up to. While these next few months will be difficult, with my new guardian angel watching from above, I know everything will end up all right. For 18 years, I had been blessed to not lose a constant in my life. As time passed and I become comfortable in my new normal, I began looking back to find the months of you living with me the best times. Those moments made me realize that, yeah, bad things do happen in life, but focusing too much on the negative aspects won't provide meaning. Just like you taught me in the kitchen, there's no set recipe to life. Sometimes you just need to know what to add. Your memory will never be forgotten, Yaya. I love you forever. Thank you. Next up is Zoey Hannon.
Hey guys, shout out to Mrs. Ink's 8th period AP Lit class. Woo! And also a quick shout out to my parents. Hey guys. So this is a college essay I wrote, and it's titled Thanks, Obama. Hi guys, I'm home, my mom exclaims excitedly after returning home from a business trip to DC. She begins to take souvenirs out of her bags for my siblings and I, an exciting treat back in 2007. As my younger siblings, Anthony and Nina, get their respective snow globe and keychain, I frown when my mom hands me an airline ticket with a handwritten note scrawled across the seat number that read, Dear Zoey, dream big dreams, Barack Obama. Wait, what is this? I remember saying confusedly. A snow globe would have been so much cooler, I thought to myself. I sat next to Senator Obama on the plane. He just announced his campaign for president, my mom enthusiastically replied. Wow, does that mean I'm famous now? I asked excitedly after a beat. If even the President of the United States saw something special in me, my 6-year-old self was certain I could achieve anything. Little did I know that short note would become a theme in my life. Taking the advice of Obama, I definitely have high hopes. My existence has been shaped by passions planted in me from a small age. Although I would like to say I owe my whole life to Barack Obama, I guess I do owe some of it to my parents. My mom's enthusiasm for musicals led to a love of performing, and my dad's competitive nature meant trying every sport offered through the local park district, even if it meant watching me play in the sand of the softball field for half of every game. I adopted these passions and made them my own. At the ages of 5 and 15, I would perform Les Miserables in front of my mirror as I tied up my hair for my soccer game. Being one of the few people in my class to participate in both sports and theater has been a mental and physical challenge, but it has granted me another perspective. As someone who has experienced both the 8-hour rehearsals of Tech Week and the 3-game tournaments in the stifling heat, I only appreciate my passions all the more. It hasn't always been easy. Freshman year, I lived as a real-life Troy Bolton, minus the dashing hair, running from basketball tryouts to musical dress rehearsals. But my ambition and determination has encouraged from day one. Besides the motivation from a president, I have the most incredible support system and role models. My outgoing mentality has been inflated by the spoils of my wonderfully gigantic Greek family. I have yet to decide if this is for the better or not. From my mom's side, I've been granted unconditional love, a truly wonderful culture, and an entourage of barely related aunts and uncles who have always encouraged me to work harder and become the best version of myself. They have pushed me to bring passion and pride into everything I do. When I stumbled through the Greek national anthem at a Greek school show once, I beamed at their applause, knowing I should always take pride in my efforts. Over the years, I have visited my relatives in Greece who live in minuscule mountain villages. My grandparents grew up with no running water and worked instead of furthering their education to build a better life for their family. Experiencing the humble beginnings of my family firsthand has granted me the same ambition to make a better life for myself. From my dad's Irish Catholic side, they have definitely put me in my place. As one of 23 first cousins, it has been far from the pampering and sheltering from the Greeks. I have often found myself the brunt of silly jokes from my boisterous and loud older cousins. But with such a large family, it has been years of rambunctious fun. Every year, we take a trip to the Wisconsin Dells, and although it's far from the Greek sunsets, I am so grateful to spend time learning from and teasing my cousins. From them, I have learned to be assertive yet humble, and that it is always all right to laugh at myself. Having this multicultural view has shaped me into the determined person I am today, ready to spring into the challenges thrown my way. Having both these viewpoints has helped me better understand the world around me. My family's encouragement has always pushed me to find my passions, but they've also equipped me to live up to some powerful advice. So, thanks, Obama, for providing some wise words that have defined my entire existence. Thank you. And next up, we have Breslin Reed.
Hi, guys. Shout out to my friends who are here, and my mom, and my amazing coach, Pinley. Shout out to Pinley. My piece is called This Is From Volleyball. All my years in From Volleyball have taught me a lot. This program is something more than just volleyball. We are a family. Many programs can't say that, or they say that and they don't mean it. However, these girls are my best friends. We've shared so many memories, laughs, cries, and so much more together. This program has taught me so much, not only about how to be a better volleyball player, but how to be a better person. So here's 10 things I've learned from volleyball. 1, what I've learned is if you're not that good and you want an interview with the newspaper, just run and save a ball from the corner of the gym. Works every time. 2, if Pinley breaks a clipboard, run. Get out of the gym. And then hold it over his head for as long as possible. 3, always play the music a little too loud, just to get on Pinley's nerves. 4, and if he's in a bad mood, playing Low by Flo Rida will always do the trick. 5, always appreciate your fans, especially when there's only 4. 6, if you think your bench is hype, ours is better. And yes, I'm calling out every single sport at Fremd right now. 7, I also recommend not dating one of your teammates' brothers. It's not a good idea. 8, if you're thinking about joining, I'm warning you now, we're more of a cult than the Palms girls. 10, and finally, try not to cry too hard when your season ends in the state run, because the newspaper will get the most horrible picture of you ever. Thank you so much. Next up is Rachel Pinto.
Hey guys. Quick shout out to my friends who are here and my dad. Okay, this is a piece I wrote for a college essay. This is 2 years ago in the summer of 2017, just to give you a picture of when it was. I can still recall the sticky air against my skin as I sat quietly in the confined space the train cabin provided. And although the train wasn't the most luxurious, I was living my dream of traveling around the world and exploring cultures different to my own. Growing up, I was completely and utterly obsessed with everything the world had to offer. Watching movies at fantasized cities like Paris or London had me completely hypnotized. I was on a train from Budapest heading to Vienna with my family along with one lone traveler filling up the cabin seats. He introduced himself as Martin and that he was a local to Vienna, the city next in our itinerary. And that was the start of our small talk that would soon evolve into conversation. Nearly 3 hours later, still on the train, we were now talking about recent foreign conflicts going back 20, 30 years. There had been several terrorist attacks throughout Europe in the past 6 months, so that was a pretty heavy topic in our cabin. Shaking his head, Martin said, "It is good your family got out of both London and Paris quickly. You got lucky not 1, but 2 times. What do you mean? I questioned slowly. Oh, you don't, Martin began, but then abruptly stopped. Dad simply said, we didn't want to worry them, and avoided my gaze. I sat in my chair, confused as ever, but unable to do anything about it since I was confined to the train cabin with no internet. Curiosity got the best of me when I powered my phone back on after getting off the train to take a peek at the news. I was flooded with texts. Many included links to the national news with headlines detailing attacks along the lines of London Bridge attack and police shoot attacker outside Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Both incidents were linked to terrorism, the Paris attack occurring a mere 2 days after London's. It was so rattling that after I had just talked about terrorism's increasing prevalence in the world, an attack took place in the last 2 cities my family stayed in. My mind was buzzing, and the irony was thrown in my face that I had just been discussing terrorism as if it were some distant idea that could never touch me.
Before the trip, I viewed terrorism as something that took place in nations far away from me. 9/11 occurred a month before I was born, so of course I never imagined terrorism as something that could affect me directly. It's starting to become commonplace in the world, and experiencing an attack so close has prompted me to become resilient. Coming out of this experience, I realized that I had just a decision to make. Either cower away from danger and put my dreams of traveling on hold, or learn from this and move on. Before the trip, I was naive to the cruelties and destructions that occur in the world, but after my exposure, I realized that these obstacles are more common than I originally thought. Last summer, I journeyed to Europe once again and spent several weeks diving into Spanish culture without paranoia nor naivety in terms of my safety. Walking through La Boqueria, one of the most crowded open food markets in Barcelona, I was sure to keep my gaze around me, but careful not to let hyper-awareness take away from the experience as a whole. As a result of my confrontation with terrorism, I am more aware of my surroundings when I'm in these populous tourist spots. Yet my passion to learn about and experience different cultures through travel doesn't waver. As weary as I feel in these crowded areas, my longing for adventure surpasses that fear. Travel is more than just a standard vacation. It challenges me to go out of my comfort zone and explore. It is essential to my life because it has shaped me to become a more well-rounded and curious person. I refuse to live my life in fear, and I am determined to pursue my dreams undauntedly. Next up is Nikhil.
What's up, guys? I'm Nikhil. What's up, Nikhil? I love you too, Yu-Chan. All right. Shout out to Mrs. Ang's 8th period class. Also, quick shout out to Mrs. Schomer, who gave me the green light to write this ridiculous piece, but I appreciate it. So, all right, let's get going. Okay. All right. As I lifted my face from the whipped cream topped chocolate chip pancakes, I relished the sweet taste of maple syrup and whipped cream as they dripped from my face. I looked to my right and saw an entire crowd going crazy over my majestic face dip. My homecoming date caught this on video, and after looking at the video my homecoming date recorded, I noticed I looked like a complete and utter idiot. But hey, what's new? At that moment, I didn't care at all because it was my last homecoming and I was just having way too much fun. I suddenly felt an odd temptation to pull my phone out and hit up Snapchat because, I had to flex my beautiful piece of art that was on my face. When I pulled my phone out, my instant reaction was, oh crap. What transpired was a string of 30 text messages and 14 missed calls from none other than my strict and cultural Indian parents. Ooh. To all my Asian friends, we've faced these same struggles. The first struggle I faced was actually convincing my parents to let me go out to homecoming. Every day I was scared to death to ask my dad if I could bring a date to homecoming. Because if you haven't guessed, my parents are Indian, and to them, the best date is spending quality time with our math and biology textbooks. Contrary to popular belief, most Asian kids in our current generation would like to go out with animate objects. Unfortunately, if those objects are animate, they have to follow the strict parents' guidelines. You ready? All right, here we go. They must be the same race, speak the same language, have a strong SAT or ACT score, high GPA, and applying to Harvard. Now, it is important to point out, my date did have the brown hair, the brown eyes, the GPA, the ACT score. But the skin color, not so much. However, I managed to convince my parents that everyone is raised differently, and it's the heart that matters. My mom was so touched by this that she took my side against my dad and let me go out to homecoming with someone outside my race. More importantly, she reduced my enforced studying time from 6 hours to 3 hours. It was a huge accomplishment. The second struggle came when I was looking to buy my suit. So you see, Asians in general like to save their money for more important purposes, such as buying textbooks or paying for some more AP tests. Unfortunately, the one suit I was rolling with was a tight, stinky, and stained one from 8th grade. Look, I'm all for saving money, but this suit made me look like I was ready to explode at any moment. I remember shopping with my mom and how she wanted me to pick the cheapest suit on the rack. And ironically, she picked out the one suit that was brown in color. I mean, I was all for its price. But if you look at my skin color, you will soon realize that I would have looked like a potato wearing that. Thankfully, after about 3 hours of persuasion, my mom finally let me pick out a suit that actually covered my ankles for once. Now it was time to party, and let me tell you, boy, it was a blast. Now let's take it back to the beginning when I saw the 14 missed calls. Like, immediately my heart sank. My dad was furious right from the get-go. He started yelling at me in this very high-pitched and strong Indian accent. Trust me, it's really difficult to mimic his accent, so I'm not gonna try. But here's what he basically said: "It's 2:30 in the morning, bro. What in the bloody hell are you doing, Nikhil? Come home right now." All right, so normally he doesn't use this accent, but it comes out of hibernation when he's really, really angry. Soon my mom joined this conversation, and trust me, a child against both their Indian parents never ends up winning, never. What followed was a standard comparison lecture with other brown kids. The first one none other than Siddharth Karno. See, my dad started by saying, why can't you be like Sid? The boy always studies properly and doesn't waste time at the date. I'm going to be honest, I love Sid. He's a cute guy. But he runs on Indian Standard Time, which means that he's late to every darn thing you invite him to. If you want Sid to show up, to something at 5, please tell him to come at 4, so he'll be there at 5. But he'll still find some way to be late, regardless. My parents said the same thing regarding Neil, but now that I actually thought about it, if he actually had a date, she probably would have given him a razor and some shaving cream and asked him to shave that ugly beard he had been cultivating for that day. Anyway. While my parents yelled, all I thought about was the lingering aroma of the pancakes I had and how I longed to relive that moment. Time passed, and my parents stopped yelling at me and sent me to my room. Here I reflected about the night and realized how much fun I had had. At the end of the day, maybe I should have come home early, but I took comfort in the fact that this day created a memory that I'll never forget. And to all the Indians out there, take your chances when you get them, because eventually you'll be sent off into arranged marriage before you know it. Thank you. Next up is Michael Murakami.
What's up, guys? I'd like to give a quick shout out to Engate Period. Another shout out to Shreya and Bill for coming out. One down from Northwestern, one's going up to Northwestern, you never know. And of course the debate team, which contrary to what she was talking about, is more of a cult than volleyball. I don't know. You guys ready? All right. Would you rather be Willy Wonka or one of the Oompa Loompas? I'll admit, it's an odd question without context, which probably doesn't make much sense. But after a decade and a half on this planet, I think I found my answer, which came from the last person I expected. Let me explain. The last time I had the privilege to talk to my grandpa was in October of 2017. Having been suffering from cancer for a while, my mom traveled back and forth between our house and theirs, helping my grandma and spending time with my grandpa. When I saw my phone light up next to me with the words "Mom" across the top, I was certain this was the call I had been mentally preparing for, but constantly dreading. Much to my dismay, however, when I picked up the phone, already choked up, holding back tears, my mom answered relatively happily, asking how I was doing. Upon hearing her upbeat demeanor, I realized I was not, in fact, receiving the dreaded phone call, but rather she literally wanted to talk to me. I quickly composed myself, coughed for a second to stall, and blamed the poor cell service of Indiana. She gave a short, sarcastic laugh at the overused constant attacks on Indiana, and then said, "Grandpa's awake and he wants to talk to you. Do you have a minute?" "Absolutely." When he picked up the phone, he seemed to be on a mission, but he spoke meekly as if each word labored him more than the last. He asked how school was going, stopping to listen to my generic, "It's going well." He then suddenly began talking more frailly, stopping between each word to carefully choose his next. It was as if he were strolling down memory lane, describing each road mark as it passed. He told of the greatest joys in his life, from meeting my grandma to watching my mom and uncle grow up, to watching my sister, cousins, and myself grow up. He looked back at poorer times, comparing them to later financial stability, but always stressed that the greatest joys were the times he spent with the ones he loved. It was the craziest nostalgia trip. I just sat at my dining room table, bawling my eyes out, alone in the house, more alone than ever. I sat thinking about all my memories with him, from going to the driving range with him as a toddler, unable to hit the ball all the way to the water, to the round of golf we'd played the fall before, and everything else in between. Being in no mindset to keep working on homework, I decided that the best option was to take a step back and watch a movie. The two movies I remember watching with him were Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Arrival. As Arrival opens with Luis's daughter dying of cancer, sorry for the spoiler, I decided that the best idea would be to watch the other one. So I went online, found a legal copy of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, hooked it up to my TV, and sat down. As a young adult, this movie comes off quite differently than the utopia it appears to be as a kid. I mean, a chocolate river? Count me in. Some parts, of course, are still quite silly, like Violet turning into a giant blueberry, Augustus being sucked out of a chocolate river in a tube way too tight, or the Oompa Loompas just having fun being Oompa Loompas. But the movie had a much more depressing vibe, especially in my current mindset. I wasn't paying much attention, though. I could only think about what Grandpa had said to me. All my life, my success has been measured in numbers, GPA, ACT, and every other testing acronym. But in what, unbeknownst to me at the time, were his last breaths directed towards me, Grandpa talked about the best moments of his life in terms of his experiences and memories. His success and joy were in no way measured through monetary nor numerical means, but he truly living life. Even at the worst of times, he still sought the collateral beauty in all of it. Turning my attention back to the movie, I realized why it was so depressing. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory isn't a movie about chocolate or candy or Charlie at all. It's a movie about and in protest against pure capitalism. You see, Willy Wonka spent his life building a candy empire, sacrificing the relationships he had with his family by doing so. While he, in a traditional sense, was the American and capitalistic dream, building an internationally successful brand from nothing, it was at the expense of true happiness. After following the theoretical path of the quintessential winner in the business realm, he lost everything in the real world. He had failed to make the real profit. His depressive but capitalistically successful life is foiled to the Oompa Loompas, who enjoy their life, singing silly songs, doing their jobs, and building relationships among themselves. They don't care about turning a crazy profit margin or opening up new facilities. They care about truly living life. More than any other lesson he provided me, the last time talking with Grandpa taught me how I ought to approach my life, how I could make it fulfilling. But it's up to each person to decide, so I'll ask it again. Would you rather be Willy Wonka or one of the Oompa Loompas? Thank you. Up next is Jessica Shu.
Hi. Shout out to Schomer's 8th period English. So my poem's called Struggles of an ABC. My eyes are not almond-shaped. They're squinty, narrow, slanted. When I put the iPhone X Animoji up to my face, a drunk-looking high unicorn stares back. I'm not good at math. Numbers and formulas are not my strength. I'm not the straight A, perfect GPA Asian. The infamous Asian F has shown on my report card time and time again. I don't know how to read or write Chinese. I quit Chinese school in 2nd grade because it was too hard, because I couldn't handle it. And now I can't communicate with my cousins and uncles and aunts and grandmas and grandpas halfway across the world. I know more French than I do Chinese. I know more US history than I do Chinese history. I'm too white to be Asian, too Asian to be white, but that's what happens when you're branded as an ABC. An American-born Chinese, constantly compared to my mom's friends' kids, my mom's old teacher's kids, or anyone she reads about on WeChat close to my age. Sending me into the endless pit of thinking. Not good enough in school, not good enough in sports, never the best at anything. Stuck between being good enough for American standards, but not good enough for Asian standards. Just stuck being average. And in between being Asian and being American, never really feeling in place in Chinatown, never really feeling in place in China, a foreign in my own native country, foreign to my name. I don't know how to spell my middle name or my last name in Chinese. But this is not a cry for help. This is an anthem for those who feel stuck, for those who feel as though they don't have an identity, who feel torn between two sides. You're not confined to any specific ethnicity. Your individuality is not reliant on a word. It's reliant on your personality, your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, your impact, which you leave behind in the world.
You are what you want to be. I am Asian and American. I'm the dumpling-loving monolid, year of the horse Asian. I'm the apple pie fanatic, college volleyball fan, Libra American. I'm proud of my squinted eyes, especially when I laugh, because they show my true joy, because they show my presence in the moment, because they represent something greater. Despite all the mocking, despite all the jokes, they represent the window to my story. I'm proud of the B's on my transcript, because they show my character, because they tell the narrative of my struggles, because they show my growth. And lastly, I accept my lack of knowledge in Chinese, because it gives me a way to bond with Chinese people, because it helps me create honest relationships. I am Asian and American. Grew up watching The Wiggles and Sesame Street. Grew up watching 大头儿子和小头爸爸 and 喜羊羊与灰太狼. Grew up eating McDonald's French fries. Grew up eating 糯米鸡 and 牛百叶. Grew up Asian and American. Grew up as an ABC. Thank you.
Give these guys another round of applause. Awesome job. What a great hour. Looks like we have some time for some questions. What do we got right here?
So I got a question for Mike. Would you rather be an Oompa Loompa or Willy Wonka? Did you listen to speech?
Obviously not.
What's the deal? He shaved his beard though. I know. Did he shave? Oh my gosh, he did shave.
We all know who he is now. Question. Yeah, right here.
One for Zoey. Where do you keep the letter from Obama?
Where do you keep the Obama letter that you got when you were 7, 6?
Yeah. So it's actually kind of funny. We framed it, and it's hanging up in my basement. Yes. Thank you.
Are you bringing it to your dorm?
I probably should.
Yeah, why not? Something to show people. Questions? Okay, yeah, on the left. Angeline, what was your favorite thing you baked with your grandmother? What were you good at baking too? I want to add to that.
Favorite food with her? She made really good spanakopita, which is like phyllo dough and like spinach and feta cheese. Those are pretty good. I guess I stick with cookies. I stick with cookies. Yeah, not brownies.
Not brownies.
Not brownies.
Not brownies. Question? Yeah, up there. I can't hear you, hon. How late has Sid been? Like, what's the latest he's gotten to your destination?
I don't know. I haven't really logged it. I think that's a good idea. Oh yeah, I think Mike has an answer.
For a little background, I go to Bill's house every night to do homework, and I went to his house at 7:30 last night when we were supposed to, and Sid showed up at 10.
Sid time, you know? He's getting there when he can. Getting there when he can.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah, Mrs. Schulmer.
The Greek students on stage, I am very close friends with Miss Shaka, Mrs. Kohler, who happens to be 100% Greek. Never, except on school days when she has to be here, has she shown up on time. Would you guys say that Greek time is similar?
There's Greek time too. Yep. Greek time's about a 15-minute span, right, guys? Are you guys on Greek time too?
I try to be on time, but there's moments.
Try is the key word there. I try too. Doesn't work. Questions, guys? We have time. Hey, we got time. Are you guys all seniors? No? Okay. Yeah. This is O'Donnell. For Nikhil.
Can you repeat that? Yeah, my parents are not here. But hey, all right, that's a good question. I like that. Because I showed my mom the piece before I went on stage, right? So I actually did. And she's like me, she doesn't care about anything. So she just read it, and she's just like, man, okay, fine, I really don't care. Just go have fun. And she's like, as long as I get laughs for this thing, then I know you did it right. So, that's all that matters.
Nikhil, tell the class how you know if your mom has checked your grades before you see them.
All right, so I told Miss Shomer. So when I get lunch, she packs me lunch. So she's like, if she's happy with me, she'll make it sweet. But if she's really angry with me, she'll start picking up the spice in it, and next thing you know, it burns my mouth off. Like I suffer for a couple hours. So, I don't need to ask her when she's mad at me. All I need to do is taste food, and then I'll figure out the answer right there.
So Nikhil, coming from really strict Greek parents, when in high school, I had to be home. I was made fun of. I had to be home at 10 on Saturdays even. What was the punishment when you'd kind of push the, is it the spices? Because for me, it was like, eat tomorrow.
Usually, I think this is very selective for us specifically. I know Sid, I know Neil, this happens. When we were younger, if we were late, it might not even be our fault, but we're still late. I would sit, there'd be two chairs. It's like you're in a prison cell almost. Think about it like that. There's two chairs, it's really dark. And it's like my dad is in front of me and he's literally just yelling at me for 2-3 hours straight. So it's you could shorten the message to 5 minutes and get to the point, but there's something, I find it's funny when you look back at it now, but it's when you look at it, it's 2 to 3 hours of just straight yelling at you for being a bad kid, apparently.
I'm sure we've all been there. Yeah, right here next to Mrs. O'Donnell. Say it loud, bud. Carlos. What was your favorite volleyball moment for Breslin, right?
This is actually a pretty easy question. It's definitely team camping.
Why?
It was a very interesting night.
I think that's all she wants to tell you, bud. Interesting. They had fun. Do we have looks like we have another minute, so another question? This is a great crowd here. This is a great panel. Yeah, up there with waving at me. Are we spanakopita or tiropita? Tiropita is just feta cheese with phyllo. Spanakopita is with spinach. I'm a spanakopita fan, by the way.
I'm definitely a tiropita girl, all the way.